Hi, I'm Sam here at Rick Jones Pianos with a Yamaha C3 that was built in Hamamatsu, Japan in 1979. It's a piano we've done some work on. We've had to re-rub the finish. This is a ebony satin finish, which for those who have a house full of wood furniture, this may be a welcome change from the typical polished ebony that we find in Yamaha grand pianos, which matches more contemporary furniture, but a lot of wood grain furniture is not contemporary. So if that's your situation, or if you just don't like the high gloss finish, I think you'll be quite happy with this piano. My colleagues have done a beautiful job re-rubbing it and making it look like new, in my opinion. Really elegant piece of furniture. In addition to being a really satisfying musical instrument, the C series, I've mentioned it in a lot of my videos, but in case you don't already know, it's part of the Conservatory series of pianos, and that's what Yamaha released originally in 1967 along with the C7 after receiving criticism of their existing G series pianos for not having a wide enough dynamic range or enough tonal projection or sustain and quality. They designed the C series specifically to meet a more demanding pianist, and hence, well, that's why they called it Conservatory, and that's what the C stands for. And as much as I like the original G series, I grew up with a G2 myself, acquired here by my family at Rick Jones Pianos, of course. The C series, I can get pretty much always more tonal color, a wider range out of it, and you can certainly fill a large room with the sound of this piano. It's the design of the piano that they tweaked, well, they designed it by itself to be a C3, distinct from a G3. The whole cast iron plate bridges soundboard, the shape of the plate, the shape of the case, all of that determines the essential tone quality of the piano. And I also understand, if I remember reading my Larry Fine piano book correctly years ago, they used harder woods in the construction of the rim of the piano, which would be less likely to dissipate vibrations from the soundboard. Basically allowing the soundboard to sound as much as it can and really concentrate the sound there. That helps the tonal projection. All these things Yamaha put together, all little subtle upgrades, but I mean, in my opinion, typical of what Yamaha has done for so long, always putting together a whole variety of subtle changes to improve upon what they had done previously, or at least improve upon a lesser model like a G3. And well, it's no surprise then that the C3 is especially a favorite of piano teachers to teach on. Many of them will have this piano in their teaching studio. You find them a lot in schools and classrooms, and professional pianists when they have to practice at home. If Yamaha's one of their favorite pianos, and for many of them it is, they'll be having a C-series piano just like this in their home to practice on. Really satisfying to play. This particular one, it has the Yamaha clarity, but it's not as bright as what you might expect from Yamaha. They're known for a clear sound, just the sound of a single note, very clear, but that's not exactly the same thing as bright. I could play it really loudly. There's no harshness in the tone of this piano. We've worked into action, regulated it. We filed the hammers to remove the outermost layer of sort of dried out dead felt from when it was played previously. That's all part of the normal action regulation that we always do to our pianos, and exposing that newer layer of, or rather underneath layer of felt that revitalizes the tone, increases the sustain, and it often takes away some of the brightness that can develop with some pianos, including Yamaha's, and restores more of its warmer tone or its dynamic range. And that's what we've done here, and well, that's the type of results we get on a well-made piano like this. They're easy for us technicians to service, and when we go service them, we get really good results. And accordingly, it's a clear sound without being too bright. I'll call it a 5 on the scale from 1 to 10, from mellow to bright. Touch, I think, is a little bit on the light side, less than the average amount of resistance in the keys. It would be fair for me to call it a 4 on the scale from 1 to 10, from light to firm. And Yamaha is known for that. They are not known to have as much of a harder touch as some of their competitors, including Steinway and Kawai. And for that reason, they are preferred by many pianists, including myself. I like a light touch. And in my opinion, the type of responsiveness that you get out of even a light Yamaha touch, it's still very controllable. And you get all the notes there, even when you play extremely softly. It's very responsive to that subtlety. So, 5 and 4 for tone and touch. The piano does have a middle pedal sostenuto, which not every C3 I've seen has. This one has it though. You can press down notes, depress the pedal. Only the dampers for the notes you pre-selected will be sustained. It's like having a third hand holding down notes on the keyboard for you, just like you would find on a Steinway Grand. And of course, like everything else we sell, this has a 10-year warranty, all parts and labor, and a 100% lifetime trade-up guarantee. Just please make sure it's in tune twice a year by a professional technician, and that you keep it in a situation of moderate and stable humidity. That's important for the upkeep of any piano, no matter the brand name or the size. If you do that, you can, if you wish, in the future, return to us and trade this piano in for any piano in our inventory of a higher price. That is what we mean by 100% lifetime trade-up guarantee. You get exactly the instrument sales price in trade toward your next piano from us. Not that I think you would want to trade this in necessarily anytime soon, unless you had to have a larger Yamaha. Obviously, most of our Steinways are going to be more costly than this piano, but they, in my opinion, have a different musical quality. And I think if you feel very comfortable with the musical quality of this Yamaha or any Yamaha you find in our inventory, I would recommend keeping it and just enjoying it, and having it maintained. Make sure you take care of it. They're really, in my opinion, they stand on their own very well against Steinway, and they do different things both very well. And I think it's no surprise that Yamahas nowadays are being used by more concert artists, including classical pianists. So that's an option you can take in the future. You don't have to, and well, Yamahas are workhorses. As long as you maintain them, you can expect a long musical life out of this. So please stop by, try it out for yourself. You can play it along with anything else in our inventory. But if you can't make it, you can always give us a phone call or send us an email if you have any questions.